Gandhi said, an error does not become truth by reason of multiplied propagation, nor does truth become error because no one will see it. What is, is. Whether you think it is or whether you think it's not, it still is. And we constantly confuse the limits of our own perception of what is possible with what is actually possible. And because we do that, we reject by reflex action things that are put forward, not because they can't be supported, but because they're outside of our limit of sense of possibility. Gandhi again, even if you are in a minority of one, the truth is still the truth. And I am no longer in a minority of one. Mark Twain, in religion and politics, people's beliefs and convictions are in almost every case gotten at second hand, and without examination from authorities who have not themselves examined the questions at issue, but have taken them at second hand from other non-examiners whose opinions about them were not worth a brass farthing. That's where we get, everyone knows that, mate. That's where we get official history from. Summed up by Einstein, condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. And on that, and on that criteria, we live in a world that is at the summit of Everest in terms of the height of ignorance. Everyone knows that, mate. Nonsense, of course. So, this is where the action is, behind the scenes. And it's a network of bloodlines. I can't go into this too much because of time. I want to focus on what this election's about, but just a little bit of background. There were bloodlines out of the ancient world. They were the royal bloodlines. They were considered special and all the rest of it, that came out of the ancient world, which are overwhelmingly pulling the strings within this elite. Some of the ancient advanced civilizations, but particularly one keeps coming to light, what we once called Sumer, which historians call the cradle of civilization. I would question that, but that's what they say. And later it was called Babylon. Now this land is of great historical significance to this network of interbreeding bloodlines, and it is called today Iraq. Yes, the Iraq thing was about oil, but not only. Yes, it was about many things, but not only. But it was also about the historical significance of this land known as Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers, in terms of the people who were orchestrating the invasion of Iraq. And these bloodlines moved out, became the force behind the Roman Empire, moved up into northern Europe, became the aristocracy and royal bloodlines of Europe. And when people started then, the people in general, started resisting this overt, in-your-face royal dictatorship, where they could see where the control was, these bloodlines started moving. Still some stayed in the official royal state, but most of them moved out of that into what I call the dark suit professions. This is why when you look at the genealogy of American presidents since Washington, which has been done by people like the Boston Historical Genealogical Society and stuff, the number of presidents that lock in to the royal and aristocratic establishment of Europe is staggering. In the land where anyone could become president. What's that? More bullshit. Thank you very much. It's sitting in a prison when you can't see the bars, where you think that you're free because you can put a cross on an irrelevant piece of paper every 4 or 5 years to elect in different masks on the same face to continue the same agenda the last lot did. We're free, honey. That is the greatest form of dictatorship, because people do not rebel against not being free when they think they are. And what happened at what we call independence for the former colonies is they moved from a dictatorship that the colonies could see, rule from Britain or whatever, to a covert dictatorship. What they did, they left the bloodline out there and the secret society network that manipulates the bloodline into power and its agents and gophers into power. And they've gone on controlling those countries ever since, while the people in those countries think they're free and their own government is in control.